Are you getting excited about singing with anyone in particular here?
Oh my! You know, it's not a fair question because everyone. But I have to say, Sandy Posey, Gene Hughes, Mary Wilson. Whoa! I used a hairbrush to sing to Mary Wilson's. You know, Mary Wilson in the Supremes as a kid, a very little child. I was very young. Yeah, right.
I was in my little crib.
I was in my crib. Yeah,
I used my rattle.
Come see about me. I'm very excited. DJ Fontana. I mean, all these guys. It's just, I grew up with these guys. You know.
Rock and roll. Oh, look yonder. I see a jukebox back there. Did y'all come out and get my jukebox? I hope not. Good morning. How are you?
I mean, a jukebox. I mean, a jukebox is pretty country, don't you think?
Pardon?
A jukebox is pretty country, don't you think?
Jukebox is everything. That old jukebox there, we've got a bunch of them out in the warehouse. We collect those things. And I love those old rockolas. The jukebox is everything. The jukebox is everything that has ever been out as far as music is concerned because it plays out all of it. In fact, all of the new ones now, you know, the new ones will play the CDs. But goodness, I still remember the Three Bells being E9 on one. Little Richard was on it. Conway Twitty was on it. Everybody was on it. Even, well, you know, we used to put some of the light classics on them every once in a while and play them. I never did like classics, but it's okay. I listened to it if somebody else did. We had like 3 songs, the Three Bells and Scarlet Ribbons and the Old Lamplighter, that was over into the top 40, you know, back at one. We had the Three Bells was the Three Bells was 1959, and it was the first song that was ever #1 in country, rock, and pop. So I guess that may be the reason we're here. We just we opened all the doors for everybody else to go crossing over to everything else. So, but then of course Scarlet Ribbons also was a pop hit, and so was the Old Lamplighter. So maybe that's the reason I'm here. I'm here because I like music and I like everything.
Yeah, have you heard of Elvis Wade? This is Elvis Wade.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the original Elvis impersonator.
Hey, really? Well, when I first saw you, I said,
everybody.
Elvis looking fellow over there.
Yeah.
Sax, drums.
All right.
Where are you from?
I'm Texas, Houston, Texas.
Houston. There's no field.
Yeah.
Always cut this.
So I spent a little time in L.A. That's when I was there when I got my hit record. Been there ever since. Now I'm in Nashville this morning.
We did 7
So you guys?
standards.
Well, we live in Lebanon, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're home.
You're home. Well, that's great.
Didn't take us long to get here.
Just a few minutes, and there you are. All right.
You will if you want to. You're still out doing your thing on the road?
Yeah, I'm still doing my thing. Matter of fact, I'm putting a choir together now. You know, we're gonna do some gospel.
Right. So are we.
Yeah, we're Christians too.
Yes.
Right.
Man.
Matter of fact, I'm using all legends. There'll be all legends in my choir. You know, like Pat Upton, Lenny Welch.
Really?
Yeah.
Lenny Welch. I didn't we wonder what happened to
Talk
him.
about him.
He's in L.A.
Does he still sing really
Oh
great?
yeah. Mel Carter, Brendan Holloway, these people. Yeah. Everybody's interested, so we're getting it together slowly.
Right, then what are you going to do?
Record, put it out there. We're gonna go out and do it.
Lift up the Lord.
Yeah.
You lost weight, slimmed down?
Yeah, everybody says that.
You did.
Yeah, well, I didn't know anybody noticed. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah,
You're
I did.
one of those guys used to hit all the time, and then it was easy. Now I don't want to hit you as hard as I
Ah,
used to.
man, you can hit me. I'm used to getting hit. It's all right. Even
Right.
the skinny version can take it.
All right, that's great.
You get made up?
Yep, I'm going to go do it now. I put on some this morning.
Oh, you did?
Just to myself. I'm going to go get something done.
I need to get something done.
She said, Nedra said, is that Lynn with the
I
little
said,
thing? I said, yeah, that's him,
Nick,
that's
he
him.
was bigger than that. He hit you.
I'm getting bigger. I'm going to grow again.
Oh, yeah, really. Now that you're older, you're going to go, hey, guy. How you doing?
Sweetheart, how you doing? You know Frankie, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we had last night we had a riot.
We went to jail together. But they let us go. We were too much trouble. I left the strip search. I said, does your mama know what you're doing for a living?
Do it again, right?
Yeah, really. Could we do that again? Yeah. Let me
I
go.
tell you, it's going to be a challenge to see if anybody can get a word in.
Oh,
Listen,
no. I'm going to be
He has some story.
I'm going to be very, wait a minute, this drink's on me. I'm going to be very quiet. I'm a very quiet person.
I don't think you can do
it. I don't think you don't believe that?
No, not at all.
Why
I
start
got
now,
some
right?
property I want to sell you in the Everglades.
Darling, Mary Wilson's in it.
Oh, great.
I think I have to go to makeup. Do I need makeup?
Makeup, I use spirit gum and silly putty.
Guys, this is Chris. This is the producer
We're
of the
turning
show.
into a team here.
Tommy Rowe,
Hi, Frankie Ford. How are
Chris,
you?
Chris, Tommy Rowe.
Glad to have you here.
Nice to see you. Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure.
Okay.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Great. Okay.
Oh, yeah. It has already.
Good. And we haven't even started.
What fun.
Okay.
I haven't seen this many derelicts in one room in my life. I mean, we've all stole together.
We're hanging on with our fingernails, right?
For dear life.
Just don't fall off any more stages.
You got nerve.
The two guys that fall off the stages.
We fall. The falling will end us. We both. You fell.
I broke my back.
No, I didn't break anything.
I know.
They just put me right back on the stage.
Because you're used to falling
and
off.
No. But they had changed the monitors.
Right.
And so I hit it, and I just went completely over, landed on my feet.
You tripped over Freddie Cannon's headstone.
No. Poor Frederick. Now leave Freddie alone.
Well, he said he's going to have a headstone with a monitor that says "Rock On."
Well, I'm not.
Turn it up.
I'm not going to die unless I take carry-on luggage. I'm going to put it in there with me with the wheels on it, and it goes clack, 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 clack when you go down to the gate.
You're a trip.
He said the first time he ever heard Honeycomb, he was washing his car, went out in your yard. And I told him the first time that I ever heard it, I was washing my car in the yard. I recorded it in New York with Roulette Records. Went back to Washington State, but I didn't have a deal with this company. And I was out in the front yard washing my old Buick, and they played it on the radio. Some station in Portland, Oregon played it on the radio. And that's the first time I heard it. I had no idea it was even released, didn't know. Scared to death. That's the way things happen.
What year was that?
That was July of 1957. When we were a little younger than we are now, about 40 years ago. We just had Honeycomb's 40th anniversary last July. Long time.
Man, my song will be 30 years pretty soon.
Now, which one was yours? I was trying to remember.
I Love You More Today Than Yesterday.
Oh, yeah. I Love You More Today Than Yesterday. Yeah. Great song. That's a great song.
Yeah, I'm real fortunate.
That's one of those songs that stick around forever, you know.
I hope so.
Yeah, we won't, but the songs will.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So, Billy, Dina Carter's producing a new album on you, huh?
That's right.
This must be a kick for you to be here. It has to be to meet all these people who have been your idols all your life, and now you're doing an album with this kind of music. You know, that's a kick. Big thrill. Everybody will know the name of Billy Becker soon. You know, that's right.
Thanks, Dave. Dave Burgess, everyone. The famous Dave Burgess. I do a little dance.
This is such a kick to be here, though, and see all these people that I've known ever since I was a kid. And we all worked together on the road and grew up together.
You were a kid?
Yeah, we literally, I was a kid once, many, many years ago.
There's the other thing about the British bands was you had to play a lot of variety of music to work. You know what I mean? To do a wedding or to do whatever. You had to know all styles, you know. So that was the other thing. We learned to play a lot of different styles.
You know, an observation from someone, I mean, I'm from Scotland originally, but from Glasgow. You start talking like this to you then.
Talk like you're from Glasgow.
All right, but I'll work on it, because I'm talking, I'm getting it now. But was the fact the British bands did something else. People stopped dancing to listen.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, you did the stadiums, you did the large thing.
What's this rubbish?
Yeah. Yeah, what is it?
No, they did, yeah. They started, because, as I said before, you know, trying different things.
Right.
But it did all start, a lot of the bands started out as dance bands.
Yeah.
You know, we all did.
Yeah.
It's the only way we worked.
And the clubs.
And then when we started to get a bit of a name and change it around a bit, that's when people used to start getting cues. What's going on here, you know? And that was it. I think Sgt. Pepper thing helped all
That's
that.
right. It did.
That was an experimental thing done by someone who, the Beatles were a dance band. Come on, in Germany.
Sure. Yes, it was.
If you couldn't get people dancing, you didn't work. So.
Yeah. When you came into Wings, and Wings was, just breaking out, was that transition for McCartney particularly difficult? I mean, did people receive Wings right away, or did they? How was that part?
It was a bit weird because, first of all, he's got his wife in there.
Well, there's a point.
And there was a little bit of thing of with Lennon and Yoko Ono, a little bit of what's going on, But I was a friend of Paul's from before. The Moody's worked with the Beatles and stuff, and we were friends. We all came down to London at the same time. So he kind of picked me because he knew I could do a few things that he wanted, and I wouldn't be in awe of him, and it would be like a friendly thing. We weren't trying to sort of blow anybody away, and we weren't that frightened about trying to top the Beatles, or in my case, the Moody Blues. We just wanted to get together and make a few records, just for the sake of working, really. What we did was we started and we did an album, very sort of rough album. Then we went to all the universities and towns, and we played live just to people who were in-house students, people on campus, as you say, living in. So we had a ready-made audience, and we just kind of got good by doing that kind of thing. We started getting accepted in Europe. And then we did a big tour, and the band got better. As soon as the band starts getting good, and then you can compete with anyone. And we was doing all original material, I mean, he didn't play any old Beatles stuff, apart from a little acoustic set we did.
Yeah, you hardly did you?
No, because that was the idea. Yeah. The idea was to get completely into something new,
Yeah.
And that way they can't judge it against,
Yeah.
It's not as good as the Beatles.
Yeah, right. Or the Moody Blues.
Exactly. But we had fun doing it as well, And the money wasn't bad.
Paid the rent, bought the groceries.
We never made any money prior to that, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't. I mean, we spent everything we was making as we were going. But the Moody's actually got famous on the Chuck Berry tour. He came to do a tour. We were second on the bill. We had Gono out, and because of playing to live audiences and that kind of situation every night.
Well, the Moody's talk about transitions and something new. The Moody's took music into what? Almost a symphonic kind of a thing. You guys started the strings, and man, that stuff got really musically complex. Not in a bad way, but it was really well done, orchestrated well, and everything.
Yeah. Well,
the chord progressions and structures.
First of all, Mike Pinder, the keyboard player, worked at Mellotrons. And Mellotron was, the machine that had tapes in it that simulated strings, brass sections, whatever. They were only used in studios, and for film work. But they had one made which was taken on the road and used. We used to play pianos, and most of the pianos were out of tune. And because I played harmonica, we'd be keeping people waiting to go on stage, while they tuned the pianos. So that developed into them, after I left, using Mellotrons. Then the people from the keyboard companies were coming in saying, we can make something a little bit more advanced than that. And that's how that came back. So they helped to synthesize the thing. Again, getting back to the Beatles experimenting in the studio, they could then do some of those things live. Let's face it, the Beatles never worked live with all that strange music that they came with. The Sgt. Pepper was never worked live. The Moody's kind of became the band that could do all that live, and that's what gave them that. This is a different band. But there's just a bunch of guys from Birmingham who all started out, like I said, playing at weddings and bar mitzvahs and you name it.
You've done well, sir. You've done well.
All three of those tracks.
We cut.
Hooray for Hazel.
Yeah,
Did
we
I say
did
that?
all. Yeah, but we did that over in my old bus. Remember, we did.
Hooray for
Sweet
Hazel
Pea-
we did,
We did
yeah.
Hooray for Hazel over by the fire station.
But we did Sweet Pea in the House.
That's right.
Yeah. Farfisa, Oregon.
I still got
My-
that.
my-
I've still got that.
Do you?
I've still got the original 8-track machine.
Oh, you
Yeah,
I
in
would
his
not get
shed.
rid of it.
Oh, my.
And I'm sure that I can find the contract with you guys.
Is
and
that-
everything.
I still have the original 8-track machine. Remember, it was the first 8-track
Sure.
in Hollywood.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
right.
used to rent it to Capitol
That's
Records
right.
all day.
That's right.
And then we'd record all night.
Well, it's still in the shed.
I still have the original.
And you know what? You don't remember this, but you had a little old dog that had puppies outside your trailer. Remember when you had your trailer in the
Oh,
backyard?
yeah, I do too. It was a toy collie.
Toy collie. I took one of those puppies. That dog lived with me till he was 16.
Oh, my goodness.
My goodness.
Brought him back to Georgia with me. He was
unbelievable.
Called him Micah. He was my favorite little dog of all times from your backyard.
Wow.
You didn't know
I
that?
didn't
No, I never knew that.
I didn't know that. I didn't think you had a dog.
When I was growing up in high school in the 50s, these people were my stars. I mean, the coasters, Jimmie Rodgers, they were already having hits. And I played the guitar, started trying to write songs when I was 14, but I was a big fan of these people. Every time they'd come to town, I'd come see them. And then when I got a hit record and I was touring with them, that was just the icing on the cake. It was wonderful. But I don't know, being here with them today, it's, the rock and roll people are not exactly like the country people in that the Grand Ole Opry kind of made them a family. And I think the rock and roll people, we would do our shows, we were all very friendly, but then we would all go our separate ways, so we were never really a family-like. But being here today, it's almost making that happen. And that feels really nice because, like I say, I've admired these people for so long. And they're such wonderful people besides being so talented. And I don't know, I think to explain the feeling you get at this time is kind of difficult. 38 years I've been doing this, but the emotions are, when they sing their songs and all, I mean, it all comes back when I was in high school. It's that memory thing, which is so wonderful. I've never been a real good storyteller, but like Frankie Ford, he tells great stories. Lynn Barry is a wonderful storyteller. And we've all had experiences on the road, special things that have happened to us, and relating those, I mean, it's so wonderful to hear those great stories. And being on those bus tours, my goodness, those were such exciting times. And being so young, it didn't really bother you that it was so hectic and crowded and, I mean, really nasty in a lot of ways because you couldn't get cleaning done. I mean, you just had to wear the same clothes all the time, sleep in the luggage rack. I mean, all those stories are true, and we did it. We never blinked an eye. I call the 60s our Renaissance time in music, in entertainment, really. The 60s decade is like the French Renaissance in art for America. I mean, everything changed because of music in the 60s. Styles changed, attitudes changed. I mean, it affected us all. It affected our parents. It affected our country. Our country today is what the 60s happened. What happened in the 60s is what makes our country what it is today. I really believe that. I always said that I don't care how the styles change, what happens in music, I'll try and stay on top of it. But I must admit, this past few years, I have not stayed on top of it, and I really haven't wanted to. And I don't know if it's just because I'm, getting older as I get older in the business or what. But I miss the melodic songs, the melodies, the great lyrics. Tell a story in 3 minutes. That's what the 60s songs are all about. That's very difficult to do. Today everything is beat. I know it's a different thing. The beat has a lot to do with it, but thank God for some of the country writers. They still write great songs. One will come along every once in a while. They'll just sink your cork, And so it's out there, but it's not as much as it was in the 60s. Everybody, I mean, my whole thing was to write a song. I mean, I woke up every day trying to write something. And, I didn't write any fabulous things. My thing were kind of light and fun, but, I attempted to do that, write a 3-minute story with a nice little melody and a nice little beat. And I don't know if that happens like that today or not. I don't know if it's much. I know one thing, we had a lot of fun. I hope they're having as much fun as we did back then.
And I talked to Maria, and I told her this story about them coming in that night, and she said, well, do me a favor. She said, if you do any more shows and you're doing Buddy Holly stuff, she said, please do True Love Waits, because Buddy wrote that for me.
That's right. But
did he?
Yes, he did.
Okay,
yeah,
because I heard stories that he didn't.
No, indeed he did. He wrote True Love Waits in New York. There were like three or four songs that Buddy had written. And of course, the first time he ever recorded without the Crickets was during that small period of time in New York. And he did True Love Ways, he did Rain Into My Heart, and he did with the Boodle and Felice Bryant song. He did the Paul Anka song, Doesn't Matter Anymore.
Oh, yeah.
There you're going, baby, here am I. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I guess it doesn't matter, which was that song is hard for me to perform, and I get chills just singing it because that was the last, that was just before he died.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter anymore. It kind of always stuck with me. Maria, Laine, and I tried to do it together at some show we did together a few years ago. And we were both just up there, just tears.
Well, I tell you, I get chills when I think about that they came in that night before, because the night after that, Sunday night, I was driving back Fort Wayne, Indiana, and it came on the radio that a plane had gone down, Buddy Holly and it just blew me away because he was one of my idols, man. I love.
Well, he was a genius, and let me tell you how hard it was. For me to become the lead singer of the Crickets, and I always make a distinction. I didn't replace Buddy Holly because nobody in the world could replace Buddy Holly. But I became the lead singer with Jerry Allison, and the original founder with Buddy of the Crickets, and with Glenn D. Hardin, who's one of the best musicians I've ever known in my life on the piano. Elvis thought the same thing because he went on to work with Elvis. But and of course with Sonny Curtis, who was a brilliant songwriter, guitarist, and singer, and we had a new life. And fortunately, I think without that, I couldn't have done it. If we hadn't had hits on our own, starting with Please Don't Ever Change, the Carole King song, and then the string of songs that went after that. But it's still, today I'm going to do a little quick medley of That'll Be the Day and Peggy Sue. But it was a tough thing for many years after I left the Crickets. I didn't sing any of those songs.
It's funny though, when you really idolize someone, I can remember the very first time that I heard That'll Be the Day. I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, that's where I lived, and I had my radio tuned to Cleveland for some reason.
Yeah.
And I remember Cleveland went on and they played that song, and he had such an unusual voice. For back then, it was something like I remember all night long.
And it was
I kept
so
listening.
free.
I hope
It was
they
so
played again.
easy. It was just really free and easy. It was really, we had some times, I'll tell you. When Buddy worked for a radio station that my foster father co-owned in Lubbock, Texas. And I worked for the radio station. We're just teenagers. And I worked for the radio station in San Angelo. There's San Angelo, Texas, and Lubbock, Texas, about 250 miles or so, 300 miles. And so Buddy had the bluegrass with Bob Montgomery and Sonny Curtis and I forget who else was in that bluegrass show the music that they were doing. This would be in the early 50s, like 54, 55.
Right. That's when they played the roller rink?
Yeah, played the roller rink all the time.
Right.
That's right. And J.I. wasn't even with him at that time. And then J.I. came in and played drums with him and played it. But anyway, we'd do the show, my foster father and Joe Treadwell and Dave Stone produced all these shows that bring in the Grand Ole Opry shows, Louisiana Hayride shows, with all the country acts. Well, one time in 1954, they booked Elvis on, and Elvis and Scotty Moore playing guitar, and Bill Black on the big stand-up bass, and no drums. Before DJ got there, they didn't have any drums. Because on the Opry, I guess he was trying to get on the Opry, they wouldn't let him. He was trying, but he never. But he went to Louisiana Hayride, and they certainly would let him. Tillman Franks, who was a dear friend, and Johnny Horton, all those were on the same show. Well, I did the tour with my little group, because Joe Treadwell managed me and became my foster father after my mother passed away. And so I did all the shows around the San Angelo area, and then when we went up to Lubbock, they'd get Buddy, because he was a local guy on the radio there, and they'd do it. Well, afterwards, we said, Elvis, we all want to be Elvis. And then Buddy developed, he developed that little hick because he said he was trying to sound like Elvis. Now, I don't know. He did his own thing. I don't know if. Well, I don't know what song he was trying to sing, like Elvis.
Well, he could throw his voice. He had a way of throwing it like Peggy Sue, that little bit where he goes into that kind of a baby type sound or something. I don't know what you call it.
Well, we all have to learn that because of course, doing it on tour, I had to learn how to do that. But I worship Elvis. Elvis too. But I worship Buddy. Buddy was an absolute genius, and he only had 18 months of his life that was fame, and he didn't know he was famous. He never had a chance to know.
Really?
And I have to give credit to Jerry Allison, for keeping the Crickets going. I mean, they're still going today. Unfortunately, I haven't been with them for a number of years. But those guys, Jerry Allison, Sonny Curtis, Glendy, Joe B. Malden, they're real troopers, and over 40-something years they've been going.
Oh yeah.
And should keep it going. In England,
yes.
I mean, we still get I get emails and fan mail every day from England.
Bet.
They still sell our albums.
They love all that stuff over there.
EMI has just released all the 65 Liberty releases again. And Buzz Cason, who's here, Buzz produced some of that stuff.
Buzz did?
As things come along, there's certain things that come along that work out, yeah.
Did you still go out and do stuff?
Yeah. And Roxanne does a number with me. I got to tell you this.
Me to work.
We did this engagement.
Are you gonna do
we
it?
did this engagement, so she does a song with me, right? Roxanne really gets into it. I mean, she's coming over
What's the
to
song?
me, Unchained Melody.
Oh, yeah.
We do it together.
It's Do you really?
Listen to this.
It's
So
our
help me God. So help me God. Here's
favorite.
what happened,
Yeah,
right? People are just going wild and crying. So Roxanne is drifting off to the side. The spotlight leaves me in the dark, follows her all the way, and I'm over there going, hello? I mean, they went,
That was so
they
funny.
gave her a standing ovation.
Is that right? 'Cause
Honest to God.
You do it together now?
We do
Yeah.
it together.
Do you really?
Yeah. Well, it's not.
But here's this blonde, and she's got, she's gorgeous, so she had this.
Yeah.
And the guy, it was a young guy, and I mean, he's just going. I'm left over there for 5 minutes. The band would cry. They said, "Forget it, Jim.
Yeah, right, you got it.
It's no longer Jimmy. It's
It was
Roxanne and Friends."
Yeah, right.
Al Hippler did the original of that,
Yes,
right?
he did.
Remember that?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I just
My mom's favorite
love
song.
that. Is it?
Yeah. That's Roxanne's
I
all-time
love
favorite
it.
song.
Yes.
What kind of people show up when you do your stuff now? What kind of people show up in your audience?
It's really interesting. It's the folks that grew up and
Young and old.
Young and
kids,
old.
like young adults.
Yeah.
That are into it.
I'll never forget,
That
I
are
did this
into the-
engagement and I was talking about, now I said, now maybe some of your moms will remember this song. So there's this young girl standing, Roxanne was with me, standing over here. And she's going crazy with all these songs, So I thought, well, I'll really milk this thing. So I'll go and I said,
singing every
I said,
one.
it was on, I said, well, thank you so much. I said, I appreciate it. I'm sure your mom told me about it. She said, no, Mr. Clinton, it was my grandma. And Roxanne
collapsed
going,
on the
you
risers.
put yourself right,
Yeah,
I mean,
you
brother,
opened your
you
mouth.
walked right into
You
that
walked
one.
right in.
But it's strange because, the fact that I'm a grandmother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she knows, my granddaughter knows the songs.
All of your tunes.
And she goes, how did you know that, Mama? I go, these are remakes, honey. We did them before. These are all remakes, So it's easy for it to be grandchildren that know the music.
The first person I ever led to the Lord, I was in a halfway house giving my testimony. Nobody was listening. I walked away. And the Spirit of God spoke and said, Jimmie, give an altar call. I said, no, they could care less. And I went, Jimmie, give an altar 3 times. The last time, give an altar now. So I looked over there and I said, look, if there's anybody out here who wants to know Jesus, I said, just come on up here and I'll pray with you. I said, all of a sudden, 5 guys stand up, start crying. They're walking down the aisle. So I'm getting ready to leave, and 4 of them walk. There's one, he stays, and I could not leave. I walked back. I said, look, it's okay. And in broken English, he said, no, you understand. He said, all my life I grew up from a itty bitty baby. He said, and my mommy, all she ever played is Jimmie Clanton songs. Jimmie Clanton, right? She loved Jimmie Clanton, and she said, in fact, my mommy named me after you. And now I come up and receive the Lord from the very man I'm named after.
Good grief.
Yes, that was so moving.
Is that great?
19 years ago.
Woo! Really? Tell me right now. I'm here, right? I know. Good night. What if you?
I don't know if they'll edit that out.
That's all right. Oh man.
And that's something.
Obedience, buddy.
But it's a good woman that's done it for me, brother. I should be dead 10 times. I mean.
Did you go the drug route or out?
I chewed on him.
Yeah.
Chewed on me.
No. I had no idea that, in the whole scheme of things that the Lord was saying, even though I was having hits and the whole thing, that Jesus was saying, I'm going to use this for people who said, oh, I love Be My Baby, I love Walk in the Rain. You were so successful. How could you be, tell me about yourself. And you sit there and go, because of who Jesus is, I'm here today.
Yes.
But I could not comprehend that that's what the Lord was doing. I just said, here was I with a young girl, 15 years old, New York City, 8 million people.
Roxanne once told me, she said, just remember this, she said, there is nowhere, now with the Lord, there's nowhere you can go at any given moment, by God, somebody will know. One time I was getting ready to go, I don't know if I told y'all this story the other night, I was getting ready to go to the library in my area, and I have anonymity, nobody knows me, and I looked like, homeless looked dressed up compared to me. I mean, and Roxanne said, James,
you're good for him. You're good for him, right?
This honest to God. I said, honey, nobody knows me here. I said, I don't have to worry about image. So I'm walking the library, and there's a young lady there, and I hear this. Hello, Jimmie. Nobody in that community knows me.
8 in the morning.
8 in the morning, I got hair down here, and my beard. I said, I got eyeglasses. I said, what'd you say? She said, well, hello, Jimmie. I said, you don't know me. And I'm thinking about Roxanne just 5 minutes. She said, you're Jimmie Clanton. And I said, how do you recognize me? She said, I know you anywhere. And I remember she said, there's nowhere I can go. I said, when did you see me last? She said, oh, I saw you in a show about 35 years ago in Houston.
But see, I've been
I was so shaken. I went home and I said, you've been talking to God to do something. Man, I have never forgotten it. Honest to God, true story.
There's an angel.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, well,
probably,
there you go. You know, she does that stuff to me too. All these years, she would say, you're not going out of the house like that.
Are we ambassadors?
Who dressed you?
Sit down there, darling. I will get you something to wear.
What kind of dance is it? What's the rhythm? What's the song? Okay, I'm following you, so you should. Where you lead, I will follow.
I don't know one of these old people here. No, I mean, it's like this is your life. I'm looking for Ralph Edwards to come out. And we were just when they were doing Joanie. I mean, I said, wouldn't you like to see in your rider 3 kazoos? Wouldn't that drive? If you're from New York, they keep the kazoos right next to the knishes. But this is history. We changed, and a lot of people saying about what happened. I am from New Orleans, and we are the least southern city in the world, so I didn't know a lot of this other stuff went on till I came farther up north. So consequently, we had no division, we just all went to the same clubs and restaurants and everything. So I had none of that, but you're looking at history. You put a bomb in this place, there'd be no more rock and roll. It's wonderful. We did 6 months of one-nighters, and you become either dear friends or you hate one another. It's a Mexican standoff, And Dave Burgess, we were talking about Dave, and I told him to tell the story. Do you know who his drummer and his saxophonist was? Jimmy Seals and Dash Croft. Seals and Croft. And we toured for like 6 months. And we've been good friends ever since. But you look around and it's almost the same thing. It's like the military. You haven't seen one another in quite a while, but you just pick up where you left off. It's wonderful. 203 dates last year. So Mia Cooper, everybody's thanking whoever he or she. You've got to be politically correct today. Would you like to get there? And you kept saying he. And she goes, what are you talking about, boy? But it's so much fun. I have such a good time.
It is great. It's such a lesson. I'm learning so much. I'm learning about the people who wrote the songs that I loved through the years and didn't know who wrote what, and some of those songs really touch you. I mean, it takes you back. You're like, wow, all of a sudden you're like 1956 and 1978 and have well, this is great. This is one of the greatest ideas I've ever heard. One of them. It just everybody's singing great and music.
Out here we got people crowded around all the monitors listening and watching.
Yeah,
it's not
really.
Your pin drop out here except for the music you guys are making. Everybody watching.
How wonderful, man. This is an experience I'll always remember. It really is. I didn't know what to expect when we came here. And I knew that it was going to be everybody going to talk and hash up old memories and things. I just didn't know it would be like this. This is wonderful. I hope we do it again sometime in years to come, you know. But if not, I'll have this tape. So you better get the best side of me here.
Hi. It's time for the pawpaws to pop, the eavesdrops to drop, the katydids to whistle, and the old treetop and the old cow get up and gently walk away. Now, we're going to walk away with a bunch of hits. Rock and roll hits, not country hits.
I got into the music business strictly because I had to. My sister and I came from Arkansas because I said I was going into the service. And one of my older brothers said, no, you're not. And he was in Los Angeles, so he took his whole family and came and got the two of us that finished at the same time. Well, my sister just happened to get pregnant. And we were living with our brother, one of our older brothers, but he was kind of mean. So I said, don't worry about a thing, we'll get us a home. And I had met the people at the Purple Onion. They said, if you ever want to sing, come to us. So I got us an apartment up in the, what we used to call it the jungle. And I went down to the Purple Onion and I said, well, I want a job. And they said, well, come to work on Monday night. And I started working, didn't know no song. Didn't know anything.
That worked out good then, didn't it?
Yeah. I just went to the music store and got some songs and learned the songs and went to rehearsal on Monday.
What kind of music did you sing?
Just pop. Ballads.
You was like a torch singer?
Torch singer.
How wonderful.
There are people there that I knew but I didn't know. So it's like, in other words, the music I knew, I grew up with. It was it's exciting to be there with them. I understand what it feels like to be the entertainer, but I understand what it is to be the person that's listening to the music and going, gee, I feel like I know you. Your music means something to me. There are those that knew me when I was 15 and 16 years old. It's sort of hard at times to say, oh, let me see, how many years ago did you know me? Age gracefully, hopefully, you know. But it's good to say, boy, we had something together that nobody can take away. I mean, the rock and roll days were, it was an honor. It was really a privilege to be a part of history. I think, you know, Mary was saying, you know, you don't realize this was the music that made sort of America who America was and took it across the ocean to other parts of the world. So to be a part of that, that's special. Just a dream.
Takes you back, doesn't it?
I honestly could feel 12, 13, 14, the feelings that it was like, what is love? Mother doesn't understand what I'm feeling. I remember crying in the bathroom to Just a Dream. Why? I don't know. Just the tears and going, nobody understands me. So it felt like that, and it felt like I said, my grandma was still alive, and my aunts and uncles. I came from, you know, my mom would have 7 brothers and 6 sisters, so it's 14 of them. And so all of these songs for a period of time, I danced with my aunts and my uncles, and a lot of them are not here anymore. So to hear certain songs, besides your friends, and you were doing these shows together, you think about growing up with people that are gone. And those are emotions that you're just going, ugh. You know, I fought back really wanting to cry. I wanted to cry.
I only worked with them once, and that was at, I think, the Apollo. I think it was at the Apollo. But I was so impressed by them because they came to rehearsal dressed. Never saw that before. They came dressed with the hats and the suits. Oh, really classy group. I loved it. So I didn't pattern my group after them, but it was so much of them that came into mind when I did what I did with my group, as far as the dress mode and attitude on stage. We danced good, but we were mellow with it. It was, well, you saw it. Yeah. It was really a class act. But I liked the class that we had. But it was just beautiful for me.
Did y'all cut your stuff? Was it in Cincinnati or?
Yeah, King. We did one session in New York. We flew from, we drove from, we had 63 one-nighters in California, went straight to Texas, did 20. Worked our way over to Florida. We did 17 dates in Florida, went to New York, and did 8 tunes at BMI Studios. I'd never seen. Best session I ever had. Best session I've ever done. I was tired as I could be, whispering half the time. But it was great.
Back then, you'd go in and cut a bunch of songs.
Oh yeah, you have to because you're on the road so much.
Yeah, now we work on one song for days, you know. Hey, pal.
Right, these guys go in the studio now and they spend a year. They spend a year cutting out. I mean, for what? I mean, what do they need so much time for? I never could understand it unless they're looking for tunes. You know, that didn't make sense. I mean, to go in the studio, you can go in the studio and spend 18 hours. You're gonna have you an EP at least. You know what I mean? You're gonna have 4 songs. But today, these guys take a year to cut an album. Of course, I don't know. The technology is causing it, or they're just lazy. One of the two.
It's a different art form than what we knew in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
There must have been a real strong studio band or something in King, in that studio. Guys that played on a lot of stuff.
Well, Bill Doggett, Honky Tonk.
Yeah.
Bill
he was on that show.
He was my backup band.
Yeah, he was on the 55.
He was my backup band. He worked behind
these
us.
people around here weren't born when we did that.
No, we had Bill Doggett. We had Bill Doggett, Sonny Long Gone Thompson. Who else?
Who was the sax?
Ray Felder.
Yeah, he did the solo. Did the solo.
Did all my solos on all my records, including the one in New York. Ray Felder. Beautiful musician. In fact, he works in my club every now and then now.
I get on Johnny Tolson all the time. I do all my own yard work and everything. I always have a garden and everything. John called me one day and he says, JR, and I said, what? And he said,
I gotta take that.
He said, I got something. You know how quiet he is. Digging in my yard. And he's digging at my yard. And he said, what do I do? I said, well, you got a gopher probably, John. He said, gopher. He said, well, what do I do? Because I don't want to kill anything. I said, well, John, go on down to the feed store, store that sells garden stuff, and get some Goofy Gopher. Comes in a little bag.
Goofy Gopher, he likes
no such thing. No such thing. So Tillotson says, Goofy Gopher. I says, yeah, it won't kill him, man. It'll just make him a little goofy, and he'll just go
to
away.
The next yard.
So I get a call back later, and he says, Jim, I went down to get some Goofy Gopher, and they didn't have any Goofy Gopher. I said, well, maybe I got the name wrong. I said, I tell you, why don't you, did they look around? He said, not much. No, I said, well, how about some, I think it was either Goofy Gopher or Gotcha Gopher.
Don't tell me he goes back.
So he calls me back a couple days later. He said, Jim, he said, me and Nance was over at the store the other day, and I looked, and he said, I still got that gopher, whatever he said, but I couldn't find any Gotcha Gopher. He said, you sure it's Gotcha Gopher? I said, well, why don't you do this, John? Why don't you go out and get some gimpy gopher, and when them little mothers come up to the surface, hit them with a shovel, and they'll just hobble off all by themselves. And he finally said, I kept him going for about 3 weeks with Gotcha Gopher, Gimpy Gopher, Goofy Gopher. I love it. He's a funny little guy.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a great story.
Yeah, I had him going. I do that to him all the time anyway. But I haven't seen John for about a year since I've been in Branson.
Didn't you move out of California? You went up to Oregon, didn't you?
No, we're in Branson.
Oh, Branson. Oh, yeah, I heard you say that.
Yeah, I live in Forsyth, Missouri right now.
Yeah, okay.
Little town outside of Branson.
Yeah.
Live on the. Yeah, I like it.
Good.
Greatest rainbow trout fishing in the world.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And good bass fishing too.
I know.
I think we're going to stay there a couple more years, and then I'll go back to coast because I got grandkids out there.
Yeah, I know you do.
All my family.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what? I
California is
don't know
funny. It's like you want to leave it, and then when you get away, you want to go back. You know, it's always got that pull on you once you live there for a while.
Well, it's a little culture shock to go to Missouri from California.
Absolutely, yeah.
It takes a while to get used to that slow.
Absolutely.
Everything moves real slow out there. And Branson's a cool place because a lot of us guys can still work.
Oh, you can, absolutely, yeah.
You know, well, it's like I was having breakfast one morning at a place, and some guy came in and he sat down with his buddy, and the guy said, "What do you think about all these entertainers here?" He said, "Branson's like an elephant's graveyard." He said, "All these old people just came here to die." But
well, they're doing something right.
Well, they pay to watch us, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. They're doing something right.
We got about 40 theaters there now.
Are you working at any particular theater, or?
This coming season, and starting in April, I'm going to do a one-man show at the IMAX. Are you singing too?
Oh, okay.
Which is a beautiful
yeah.
place. And there's a guy in there by the name of Mike Radford right now, and Mike's got his own show in this little theater. It's called the Remember When Theater. It seats about 230 people. So Mike does a great show there about his grandma's attic and all of that. And they asked me to come in this year and do just a one-man concert show.
Great.
So that's what I'm going to do.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Do you know that she's my daughter? Do you know that?
We do.
Well, she's my daughter.
She's been bragging on
my
it.
one and only daughter. Been bragging. She sings with me, sings alone. She loves to sing as much as I do, and that's why she's here. Hi, darling.
I gotta keep an eye on you.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Otherwise, I could get into trouble still.
Still.
Sometimes
Still.
we wonder which one's the mother. You know, we gotta kind of look out for each other.
Yeah.
We do a good job of that.
Yeah, we do. You do a better job.
Yeah.
Are you having fun out here?
Yeah, we're having
a great
Yeah,
time.
we're having a good. It's great to see everybody again, and you know, I mean, I worked with all these people 30 plus years ago, and just admired them all. Because like I forgot who was saying it, that we were all fans before we were actually artists ourselves. I listened to American Bandstand, rushed home from high school to watch it every day, and then one day I was on it. So it was quite a nice time to be growing up.
What was your start? How did you get your break and your start in this?
Well, about 11 years old in Los Angeles, which is where I was raised, I was on a local television show and was discovered on that show. The president of Crystalette Records called the station, wanted to talk to me. They talked to my parents, and he said, "Well, I think that your daughter has a wonderful voice, and I would like to record her, so let me check around and I'll see what kind of material is out there." And it was 2 years later that he called me with Pink Shoelaces. Forgot totally about him, just didn't even remember this man. And he had pink shoelaces and said, "I think I have a song for you." And that was it. I was 13, and that was the beginning of it all. Until I was 16, and then I retired. Isn't that silly? To get married. And
make me.
And make you. And I made her. And I think that's why I got married, because there was no other reason for it. Was there, baby girl?
No. We think it was all meant to be that way.
Of course, everything
Worked
is.
out the way
That's
it
how
was
life
supposed
is.
to be.
So that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Been singing ever since.
And we'll continue to sing.
Yes.
Just as long as we're on the planet, I have a feeling.
Well, that must have been kind of a unique experience to all of a sudden be out there and be a star at 13 and 14.
Oh yeah, I was the youngest. At the time, I was the youngest to have a hit record. And I was a kid, you know, I was 13. It was just the beginning of my teenage years, and I don't know, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of moving in the direction that everybody pushed me in, you know, oh no, go here, no, sing that, no, don't sing that, sing this way, no, sing that way. and stay in school. My parents wanted me to stay in school, so I had like a double life. I had this normal teenage life, and I was a pom-pom girl and a cheerleader in school and the football games, and then I would take off for a couple of weeks and go on tour to Australia or somewhere. And so like I said, it was like a double life there for a while. And then I dropped out of school, which I'm very sorry to say, when I was in my junior year, to continue with my career, full blown. And then it was very shortly after that that I said, no, I don't. I think I'm just going to get married like all my friends are doing, and they're having babies, and they're playing house, and oh, how fun it'll be. And that's what I did. I gave up show business to become a housewife and a mama.
And she's done a wonderful job at that.
Thank you, dear.
She's a good mama.
I came back into it 4 years after I left it. She was 6 months old, and I was living in Missouri, which is where she was born, Springfield, Missouri. Came back to California, and just resumed my career. I contacted my old manager, an agent that had been booking me, and I just kind of started, it was like starting all over again, because the industry had changed so much with the Beatles. It was just a different ball game, and I was kind of like an unknown once again, and I had to start. I did background singing for about 20 years. I worked for Mac Davis, Harry Belafonte, Boz Scaggs, Diane Carroll, who have I forgotten? Loretta Lynn,
Raquel Welch.
Yeah, goes on. And then, so I did that for about 20 years, and then I had my own 50's and 60's review called Bop, and I did that for a couple of years. Now I have a country / classic rock and roll band, an original band with my daughter, and we sing together. I just love singing with her. And we're called AKA Stevens. That's our country band. Yeah. And that's just kind of it. That's pretty much it. Oh, we have a rock and roll, Ladies of Rock and Roll show. New project this year, starring Marilee Rush, Angel of the Morning, an all-girl band called the Scarlets, myself, and myself, baby girl. And that's what we're doing. That has brought you up to date.
We sat around and watched Kissing Cousins the other night because we wanted to see Dion, and it was so bad. She was embarrassed. She got really embarrassed.
There's another one with slicing sand or kicking sand.
I don't remember that.
One in beach movies.
One of his beach movies.
The only thing I remember about those beach movies is Frankie Avalon and Annette and all those people. And Rod McEwen.
That wasn't too bad.
Rod McEwen was, this tall and about this big around. And he was in the background throwing a beach ball. He was this great poet out in the sand throwing a beach ball over.
He did write some poetry.
He did.
Crazy times.
I wouldn't do those beach pictures. I was asked to do some of them. I said, no, I just don't want to.
Did you ever do any of the movies back there?
I did a couple of pictures. They were awful. I didn't do the beach pictures.
We did a thing with Rick Nelson on General Electric Theater. Jerry Fuller and I did it when we were working with Rick.
Yeah.
And it was so bad they cut us completely out of the whole thing. It was horrible.
I did a picture with Jack Nicholson.
Did you really?
In the Philippines, and we lived in a little Quonset hut in a little town called Dayat, which is north of Manila, about 300 miles, out in the woods. Jack Nicholson and a few other people, I forget who. It was like Nicholson's first full-length film. He had like one line. And I lived with this guy, this crazy man.
That had to be wild.
In a little, there's two little camp guts in there, full of green snakes and spiders. And we were out, he used to call me Rodgers.
Was he sane?
Oh, he's completely insane. Are you kidding?
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Always had that accent.
Oh, hey, Rodgers.
Did you see him on the War Show the other night? He was great. He said he had the same agent from day one. Same agent.
That's very unusual.
Yeah,
Is
it
that
is.
right?
You'll see that.
I've got a picture of him and Nicholson and I riding one of those water buffalo out in the middle of some swamp.
You're kidding.
I hated it
not because somebody stole the guitar, but because I had played it on that record, you know.
That's right.
And and I had the guitar and the record hanging on the wall, people in the studio, you know.
Yeah,
thank you, buddy.
That's amazing. Yeah.
What record was that? Sweet Pea. He brought it out. I played the 12-string. He cut it in my house.
I never knew that.
See, I had a recording studio on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Hudson Avenue. It was an old 13-room house. And the control room was upstairs. Yeah. The control room was upstairs, and I had a hole in the ceiling. The wire just ran down to the dining room.
Oh, is it the dining room?
Yeah, whatever. But I didn't have a talkback, so whenever I wanted them to start, I'd yell down the staircase, "Okay!" And I had the very first 8-track in Hollywood, the world's first 8-track.
And he had the only Farfisa organ, so we had to cut it his place because he wouldn't let anybody use it.
That's pretty. Yeah. And so I rented the machine out to Cap. I had the first one. I would let Capitol rent it all day, and they cut the Beach Boys and the Letterman and Ella Fitzgerald and Stan Kenton and everything. Then I'd go up there at night and get it. I had it in portable case, bring it home. We'd cut all night. I did his hits and the Association. Along Comes Mary and all those things. Pretty well. Huh?
Steve.
Oh yeah, very well.
So we go back to the beginning.
Oh, that's really good. I never knew that. Yes. And then the IRS came in and bought the building and tore the house down, so I got me a Greyhound bus, put all my equipment in the bus, and I rented another place right by the fire station. And I ran a wire in the garage, and that's where we cut Hooray for Hazel and all that stuff. And Cherish. We cut Cherish in my garage. Yeah. There's a lot of history there. This song.
I've known just about everybody here. This is my 47th year being a professional. Had a lot of Go records, had a lot of things I could have jumped up and said already, but I'm just, the joy in the room, the spirituality in this room, the things that are going on here, it's going to be very successful. The people here, their hearts, it's a room of heart, and the love, the music that we had, the spirituality, I use that one more time, in the music from the 50s and 60s, it talks to the heart, talks to the gut. The people that are behind it, that are like Larry and those who've had some vision and given vision. We, those of us who live in the Nashville area, we don't usually get any chances. We went to the Ryman, but the chances didn't work out, even though we tore them up. You know, nothing really happened. The agency that brought us in changed presidency at the top, and the new president really isn't interested in 50s, 60s music. And he's missing it. He's going to bring to the Ryman, he's going to bring in theater, which is great, it's wonderful. But he had an opportunity to get people, we work for next to nothing, just to come and show that we still got it. That we have the heart. We are 50s, 60s music, which is country music, which is today. We are rock and roll. The purity, the truth, the joy, the hope of each one of us here, and the love without anything other than, I can't talk because I'm just sitting here. I've got so many stories to tell, but it's just, it's wonderful. And I'm getting filled. I'm getting filled to full to overflowing. That's joy. And it's a joyful time that we're together here, and to be brought together like this. And I brought my little daughter with me, Leah. She's my last of 7. And she sings great, and she's loving it. And she wanted to be with Daddy today. She came with me down to the little thing we had at the hotel last night. And she was off school today, says, honey, come on. I was almost going to put a chair in here, let her sit in here. But she got to go back in the booth and back there and watch it. And I think she's enjoying it.
Well, we saw her back there. She's enjoying it.
She's a good lady, and she's going to be a big star one day, too. Because she wants it. She told Daddy she wants to sing like her dad. And her mama sings, and it's Broadway, and it is theater, and we're very involved in Christian things today also. My wife is a worship leader in dance and on the praise team at our little church in Smyrna, and we're just involved. I'm an evangelist, besides rock and roller, you know, and God's placed me in all these places, like the most beautiful and ugly toilets in the world, in the restaurants, the clubs. I worked all of these black theaters when I was the only white boy, and people would gather me up and take me off on their shoulders, pick me up over and carry me off. James Brown came back to me. He didn't like little white people because people had treat him bad. But he came to me after I was there for a few days. He says, "Man, I really like her." And he started becoming friends with me, and next thing you know, we were buddies, and it wasn't, and color left, and the hurts left. And this is a healing time right here. This is a time of reconciliation. This is a time of restoration. People are being restored here, We had the situation with Lynn today, and the prayers that came down for him instantly were high prayers. And I know he's going to be all right. I know that our love for him and his big song 1, 2, 3, a great artist, highly spoke of throughout the day by different artists throughout here. Everybody here, we all have stories that we didn't, and it's bringing back memories. This is bringing back things that we forgot. I'm writing my life story right now. I have some people in Charleston. Finally, I'm allowing it to be written because this is my 47th year, as I said, to start this off. And now it means something. We can leave something. I didn't want to do it unless I could leave something for people, my children included, that could be a gift of love that was exhortive, that was strengthening, that had character. And these people are survivors. We're all survivors. We're here for a reason. We don't know what it is, but we know it's good, and what we've done is good. And I've been called a living legend and all this kind of stuff. I says, well, I guess I am. And I'm alive and I'm not dead, and I guess I'm still here because I was part of this, and I'm still going on. I got a lot of things going on right now. I'm getting ready to work for the company with Universal International to do my own television show. I'm recording albums both in Christian. I'm getting ready to record the greatest old Christian songs of all time. I'm doing new contemporary songs today, and whether I accept it or not, there's still a lot of people that are buying the songs. And I know that worldwide, I'll sell a few million records, and that's great, because I want something for my family. It's not easy being in the music business. And you've got to really be committed and dedicated. That's what they've been talking about with the young people today. There's a real commitment. There's a real dedication. There's a real something there that's down in the gut that brings you forth to give the best that you've got, and the training that needs to. Maybe we've missed it, us older people, but we need to be saying it. This on television, the people are going to hear something that they haven't heard before, or if they've heard it before, it becomes real to them because these people are real. They're bleeding their guts. They're telling the story. They're telling the truth about life. Now, you asked me to start talking, and I talked a lot. I feel like take the mic away from Ray now, but I have wonderful stories about Elvis. I have wonderful stories about Jackie Wilson. I have wonderful stories about James Brown. I have wonderful stories about everybody that they've been talking about. I'm a part of it, and why me? I'm a boy from Texas, Denton, Texas. At the time it had 7,000 people. Now it's got 60. But just like I live in Smyrna, it's growing and growing. It's probably getting close to 45,000, 50,000 people out there. But it's just like everywhere else. There's a lot. Nashville and Tennessee has got a lot to offer. Most people went to Texas came from Tennessee anyway, and so I have my heritage as Tennessean and Kentuckian, and I feel like family here. I love the people here. I love bringing my children up here. I've got 4 of my children still home with my 7, and it's wonderful. I've got a daughter, almost 20, that sings better than anybody I know, including me, and when it's time and she's old enough and she's mature enough and she'll listen to her dad a little bit and let me put her with somebody that she'll listen to. Right now she's just out there in La La Land somewhere enjoying life, and she's wonderful and she's beautiful and she's 5'7" and tall and thin like we all used to be. But God has blessed me. I've got a great wife of 21 years, my second time around, and she was here earlier today, and we communicate, we commune together. That's what we're doing here. That's what this is about. That's what Graffiti is about. That's what the love that we have, the charity that we have for each other here, and it's going on and on. Did I answer any questions?
You answered everyone I didn't ask.
I tell you what, I have to remember my name too.
This cute face.
We're on the tube again.
I wish she could have sat with you
We wish my daughter could say she sings good like her daddy.
That's right.
That's Leah June Peterson. June is grandma, and that's our Leah. The Bible says, Leah, Leah, hinds feet in high places. She jumps the rocks. She's dynamite lady too. My last offering, number 12 years old right now. You sing good too, don't you? Yep.
Musical therapy for everyone.
Yes, and a law.
And it ain't over. Because
The fat lady hasn't talked.
You're
fabulous. Oh, honey.
We're going to make a good check over these.
All he's thinking about is the money.
All he's talking about the money. And show me the money.
But see, in the beginning, we weren't thinking so much about the money. That's right. But
But
right
you know
now,
what?
we need to think about the money.
This is godly inspired, and I believe the money's going to roll in like you never seen before. I really mean, for everybody. I really mean that. Because he's only been asking for their money, didn't get it. Now the Lord has provided another way. And I believe that's
They should take this on the road.
Yeah.
This should go on the road. Seriously.
That's one heck of a show, and we should do it just like that on stage.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just go on the road with it.
Man, what a show.
You know, Jay, this would be great.
I'd love to go on the road with it.
Sure would.
It really would.
Then we really smell some sticky feet.
And let them see the talent of you guys.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Laine Town.
Did you do Ivory Tower? Did it come down?
Yeah. I got a gold record off of it. Ivory Tower and Laine Town.
No.
I might do that. Maybe we might do that tomorrow. I'm not sure. I've already gotten my shoe. But Laine Town, Hearts Made of Stone, Ivory Tower. Then I wrote Pat Bone's first hit record. That's Two Hearts, Two Kisses. And that came close to a gold, but didn't quite make it. Like Laine Town. I had quite a few. About 9 hits. I can't squawk, it's been pretty good to me.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
Great song.
You going over to the party, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we're going to get out of here.
These guys have been following us around all day.
These same two guys?
Yeah.
Think we ought to send somebody over here to take care of these guys?
You know somebody?
Continuity of this and the whole atmosphere is.
Well, they can take it up to later 60s people.
They can do it, yeah.
Frankie Valley, Peter Noon, and that stuff. I mean, but still, the first is always going to be the best.
First is the best.
Because it's real magic, because nobody knows what to expect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The spontaneity of it all is more important than anything else.
It was good.
Hey.
It was good hearing you sing it.
It sure was.
It's neat, right?
It sounded
It's
great.
important.
It's important.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great.
It's like
American I love that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is great.
Or you can take that one and walk and sing. Carl, are you on? Carl.
That